Welcome back. Now, people constantly evaluate themselves and others in domains like attractiveness, wealth, intelligence, and success. According to some studies, as much as 10% of our thoughts involve comparison of some kind. Now, social comparison theory is the idea that individuals determine their own social and personal worth based on how they stack up against others. Now, to shed more light on the topic of comparison, I'm joined by motivational speaker Otto Kapuka. Good morning, sir, and welcome back to GMN.
Good morning, Rod, and good morning to the viewers out there. Am I still a motivational speaker?
You'd want us to change it? What would you like us to call it?
Just Otto.
Just Otto?
Yeah.
So remove the motivational.
Maybe just brother Otto.
This issue of comparison, you know, maybe perhaps I know I tried to talk about the definition when we started the intro to the discussion, talking about people are constantly evaluating themselves and others, more perhaps even comparing themselves to others, you know, in the areas of attractiveness, wealth, intelligence, and success. So are there any positives and negative impact when people compare themselves against others, specifically perhaps within these specific areas?
Yes, definitely there are positive and there are negative impact when people compare themselves to others. I think it's worth noting that, or spending even just 1 minute to see where this thing is coming from. When you were young, probably up until now, there are parents, teachers who look at you and they're like, yeah, you don't even look like whose child. Look at whose child, how they are performing at school, how they are doing in sport. Even when you grow into your adulthood, they're like, yeah, the other people are studying, others have bought cars, have bought houses, and what are you doing? And there's always that constant comparisons then, that it's not something that is inherited, it's something that is socially constructed and then reinforced. And as we grow, there's that constant need for us to look at other people, and whatever that we are doing in relation to how other people are performing. Now, there are obviously, as you have asked, there are negative consequences to that. You even people who find people who destroy beautiful relationships because now they are comparing, for example, their partners to other people. You find people who are not producing well at work because now they feel that they are not doing well because other people are performing better than them. You find people who are having emotional traumas. We're talking about mental health, people who have depression, who have stress, people who are just there in their room scrolling on social media, looking at Rod Damanomata's life, and then they think my life was supposed to be like this. So there are so many negative impact, but equally you can look at somebody's life and take it as an inspiration or boost your self-esteem to say, I want to be there one day, and so these are probably the work that needs to be done. So there are many of these that we can talk about, but also it's worth noting that many a times, as the things that you have mentioned, many a times when we compare ourselves to other people, we actually don't know what is happening in their lives.
So there's so much unfolding, that's the background.
There's so much that is happening in the background that we only see the faces. For example, if you go on social media, somebody who takes vacations, somebody who is running a successful company in your eyes, you actually don't know what is happening on the other side. I think there's a word that there's a statement that they use that the grass is greener on the other side because there's too much manure. I don't want to mention the other word. Yeah. There's too much manure happening on the other side. So let me just give you a practical example. You might see, for example, a life of a person who is running a very, very reputable company, and then you say, I also want to become a business person. The question is, do you really know what this person goes through? Because at the end of the day, if you go to the other side, you actually realize that this person, on top of them having money, they have to deal with failed relationships. They have to deal with, maybe they have 100 people working for them. Now they are responsible for the lives of those 100 people. Maybe they don't even spend time with their children. Maybe, like, there are so many things that when you get to the other side, you realize, I don't think that is what I want. Yes, and that is what I need. So it's always that thing that before you compare yourself to other people, are you ready to put in the work or to go through what they are going through to be who they are?
Good. Now let's talk about how, when people compare themselves to others, are we saying that perhaps maybe, for instance, especially the areas where you are talking about just looking at success, but by comparing yourself, are you disrespecting your uniqueness?
Yes.
And perhaps is there a smarter way to compare yourself and possibly to stop this, harmful habit of constantly comparing yourself to others? Is there a way to do it without necessarily causing harm to yourself and and disrupting the unique person that, specifically that person that you might be?
I think for the religious people and for the believers, they would understand that God created you for a specific reason and to do something on planet Earth. And many a times is that specific thing that you were created to do, it's molded into who you are. That's why you probably never speak like Otto Kapuka. You never play soccer like Cristiano Ronaldo. You never defend like, who is the best defender now? Like Saliba for Arsenal, who battered us yesterday. You will never be a camera operator like the guys who are in the studio today. They are also a technical team. There are so many uniqueness that comes with individual that needs to be then at the end of the day nurtured throughout your entire life. Now, when you start comparing yourself to other people, what are you doing? You are shutting down your uniqueness. You are shutting down your strength. You are shutting down the things that you can do better because now you want to do it like the other person. Vis-a-vis when you can say, okay, that person is doing that particular thing. I probably also want to do that particular thing. But what are the lessons that I can take from them? What are the things that they are doing? How did they get to the level where they are today so that at least I can take some of those nuggets, then I can use them in my own personal life, that I allow myself to shine, that I allow myself to become the person that I want to become. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, if you look at the greatest speakers in the world, they are people who are orators out there who can speak. Sometimes they can even MC at the wedding or at the funeral. They sing, they what. But do you really think all of us can do that? I don't think so. But when you are accorded the same opportunity as a speaker, then you take out your own uniqueness. Maybe those people prepare well, then you can take that as a lesson to say, next time I'm going to do this particular thing, let me prepare well. Next time. So you try to see, how do these people get to where they have gotten? What did they learn? How did they? Then you can take those lessons. But you will never ever take their strength. You will never ever take their talent. You will never ever take their uniqueness from them to make them yours. And I think that's where people fail. They want to live, they want to be, they want to do like the other person is doing. And that is where the problem comes.
Good. So in each circumstance, if you see someone that you look up to or someone that you aspire to be, try and learn as much as possible from them, how they are achieving what they are doing,
Yes.
but not necessarily to try and do it the way that they are doing it,
Yes.
because your circumstances will not be the
Because
same.
the circumstances are also not the same. Let's be frank quickly. When you are growing up with your parents, that's why some people will never go back to their village homes, because they are not proud of where they are coming from. Some of them, they are not even proud of their own parents. Some of them, they are not even proud of themselves. When you are growing up, when we go to university, for example, you and I were at the university at the same time. When you are done with university, the two of us, when you are starting to build your wealth, you are starting on the 5th floor. Me, from Morwadia village, the village that you don't even know if it exists, I'm digging deep down so that I can start constructing my family wealth. Already there's a discrepancy there. You are gone. Even when you graduate, you can go to Cape Town, you can go to America, you can further your study wherever you go, because the money that you are getting is entirely yours. Me, on the other side, I have 10 other family members who are waiting for me to finish university. My parents are looking up to me, and all these things that people call black tax, they are all looking up to me. Now, when you are supporting these people, the people who have sold the chicken so that you can go to university, now you feel like, no, it's not enough, because the other people, that your peers, they are buying cars, they are buying houses, they are doing the most. But you cannot do the most, because why? Now you have the entire population that is behind you. And that is why we are saying at some point, you need to sit down with yourself and really ask yourself your vision, your goals, the things that you want to do, where you come from, and then you start understanding. And when you start understanding these things, you start relieving yourself from this unnecessary pressure that you put onto yourself.
Brilliant. Now, let's talk about the relationship between comparison and jealousy. What is the difference between the two?
More or less the same, but the comparison could sometimes doesn't come with jealousy. You literally just compare yourself. You want what other people have, you want to do, you want to, whatever that means. But also, when it comes to jealousy, now you start envying people's success. But then that is more detrimental, because it's actually not detrimental, it's actually more painful, because now, with jealousy, it's like you are jealousy of what other people have and not necessarily admiring what they have. And this is why you find people say, clap for others when they are winning. But if you are jealousy, you will not clap for others when they are winning.
Because you can't wait for your time.
Because you cannot wait for your time. And sometimes when your time comes, you even want to shame people around, because you think you have been on the floor for
too long.
for long. This also has to do with power. That's why you see people who never had power, as soon as they have power, then they start to misuse that power, because they felt or they feel that people have been abusing them. But it's not that people have been abusing them. It's just that some people have done the most, and while we are dancing, others are working. And so now when you start realizing that success is now certain for other people, then that's when you start being jealousy of them. No. Okay. So that is the part that is painful. That's why people are saying, when you understand your life, when you understand where you are going, when you understand where you are coming from, it will be much, much easier for you to celebrate other people's success even.
Indeed. Now, unfortunately, we're running out of time. Perhaps my final question to you is the issue of social comparison. Obviously, has a potential to significantly lower someone's self-esteem and to reduce also their overall well-being. What advice would you give, especially to leaders perhaps this morning, to be able to also stop comparing even colleagues at work, or even comparing subordinates at work, and what can they do in order to improve the performance of their staff members and team members?
And it's not just leaders, it's everywhere, because leaders are coming from a household, or they're coming from a community where they were compared to other people. So at the end of the day, we need to start understanding and recognizing individual brilliance and individual uniqueness. That at the end of the day, if you have one person who is always the one who is performing and the one who is excellent, then if you really think that person is important, then that's the only person that you must have in the company, because they are most important. But the fact that you have other people around, that means those people can contribute greatly also to the success of the institution. And many a times it's also that leaders don't understand their own individual uniqueness, so they need to sort themselves out first before they, because if you sort yourself out, it will be easier for you to recognize that that's a brilliant champ right there. That person can be used here, that person can be used here, based on the people's strength. But also maybe lastly is that if you find yourself, because these social comparisons happens to everyone, even myself, sometimes I find myself comparing to other people, but I always stop and pause to say, what do you want to achieve in life? And so please stick to that, because that person has their own race to run. They have their own journey to go on. Yes. So if you find yourself comparing yourself to other people, try to get off social media completely, or at least lessen your time there, but also most importantly, understand your vision, understand your plan, understand where you are coming from, and relieve the pressure from yourself, because you will never ever be like anyone else. There's only one you in the world.
Well, Otto Kapuka, thank you very much for making time to speak to us this morning.
Thank you too.
Okay. Now, that was Otto Kapuka, a motivational speaker there, indicating to us that not all comparisons is bad, specifically if you know why you are possibly comparing. But also remember, you are unique, and also remember, you must also clap for others, as your time will definitively come. Now, when GMN gets returned, we get to continue with more conversations after the short break.